Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Interlinked, the official Neo Tokyo podcast powered by Shrapnel.
Brace yourself for impact, crypto gamers. I am reporting from the Sacrifice Zone. STX 3.2 dates have just been announced, and it's going to be going down from July 25th to July 30th. Make sure to block off your calendars so you don't miss out on those mission rewards. These missions come in two different types, ones that earn you Shrap and ones that earn you weapon skins. These missions could be getting a certain amount of kills with a specific weapon, or extracting with a certain amount of weapon skin fragments or Sigma, and you'll want to complete these missions as the prize pool for 3.2 is 1 million Shrap. And if you just can't get enough Shrap, pick up an operator NFT, as holders are going to get 50% of that million Shrap pool. Introducing Crypto Unicorns, a play and collect game by Laguna Games. Breed, battle, and collect your favorite unicorns. Crypto Unicorns has recently successfully migrated to the Xi blockchain. The Xi blockchain was custom developed leveraging Arbitrum technology to address the needs of Web3 gaming at scale. Stay tuned to the end of this episode to learn all about Crypto Unicorns' Play to Airdrop campaign, which just kicked off on July 1st. Learn all about this and more at www.cryptounicorns.fun. Huge shout out to our sponsor, Playa3ull Games. They are inspired by gamers and funded by their community. They have an epic game on the Epic Games Store, a third-person shooter called Nexus. Hop on in there and check that out. They're also currently selling nodes, so if you're interested, check that out at their website, playable.games. That is a 3 instead of a B on Playable. Now strap in for the rest of this episode of Interlinked.
Today, we have the gentleman from the Champz project, an incredible project that is based on a mushroom world. And as we can see here on the screen, one of our mushroom friends has joined us, Mr. Morig, as well as one of his human-based counterparts, Mr. Enoch. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you guys today?
Doing great. Thanks for having us on.
Doing great. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. And side by side with me, one of the greatest co-hosts of all time, Mr. Jared Bradley, aka Hogsheadcheese. How are you, sir?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Glad to be here. Thank you, guys, and excited to be chatting with a mushroom today.
Let's do it. It's one of the beauties of being in a Web3 is we all get to be cartoon characters, and some of us have figured out how to be more so cartoon characters than others. So, anyways, want to jump in. Want to learn everything that we can about the project. You guys have some awesome lore, some fun IP, and I think a really powerful concept and a really interesting game. So I just kind of want to hand the mic over to you guys and would love to get a little bit of background on who you guys are, and kind of the history leading up to the beginning of the project. And then let's deep dive into the project and go through long form, everything about it. So I'm going to hand the mic over to you guys, and excited to learn.
Sure. Well, I've been a gamer my whole life, and I got into crypto right around when COVID kicked in and I was locked in my house. So I started just looking for other things to do there. And Champz is probably the most fun game that I've found in crypto so far. I'm a huge tabletop board game nerd, Dungeons and Dragons and all that stuff. And the complexity of Champz, it's a mix of both turn-based combat, so something like Pokemon or Final Fantasy, as well as text-based adventures, which is like a Oregon Trail. And when COVID kicked in, my Dungeons and Dragons crew, we pretty much were like locked out of doing that. Everybody started going their separate ways. Like we were in a high quarantine zone where you couldn't like step out of your house ever. And Champz really helped scratch that itch for me because they give you some pictures, but it's not one of these, AAA games where they spend millions and millions of dollars on graphics. You have to sort of be creative when you're playing it, and you have to make the story come alive in your head. So it's almost like reading a book as opposed to, watching a TV show. And that's really what I love about it. I wasn't actually around at the start. I found out about it, I don't know, maybe 6 months late. But I got hooked immediately, and I started, going super autism mode, doing calculations to figure out the best items, the best gear, the best strategies, how to optimize my play. And I started making guides on YouTube for other people playing Champz. These are my findings. Go ahead and start doing this. And if you have other strategies, go ahead and tell me, and I'll look into them. The devs reached out to me because they really liked my work, and they were like, "Hey, we'd like to bring you on, have you start making content for Champz in an official capacity." And that's sort of how I snuck into the team there.
Yeah, and I'm Enoch. I joined about a week after Morig did, and found the project through actually some people on Twitter that I don't like. I try to follow people I don't like, so I don't have any blind spots. And they were really talking about the Austrian school of economics, which is something we have in common, even though other things we don't agree. And I started looking into Champz, and it has world-class tokenomics. I mean, obviously, I want a great game that's fun. I want the ability to, spend 30 minutes to an hour a day, really engrossing myself and being able to turn it off, which that's what Champz does. It's one of the few games out there that has a limited amount of action points. So you can play the game with a scheduled intent, get in and get your time in, and then finish, and you feel like, hey, I did something and I can move on. And the tokenomics are amazing, as I said, because the devs are actually from Austria. I became a pretty large investor early on, and they doxed themselves to me, and we had some chats, and I found them to be very morally driven, and they weren't doing the normal pump and dump FOMO. We want to get rich tomorrow and dump on a bunch of people, so that was refreshing, because a lot of the space sometimes is about value extraction. And we immediately bonded. They just had their first kids. I'm on my third one, and we found that if we can lead by example, I think we'll have a good run in the space. And I think they did a $30,000 bootstrap to start, and they've generated over $1 million in revenue in a year. We've actually sent out about I would say about 150,000 to the players, and another 50,000 in revenue share and other things. So really took to the tokenomics, and then fell in love with the game, because the game actually has a limited amount of action points that you can play, and you have to actually purchase more NFTs or have more characters to play longer. So I found myself reverse engineering, hey, I can play for an hour, I need this many characters. So it was very unique in that situation. But yeah, been about a year with the team. I came on as a marketing guy, and here I am.
So maybe kind of build the storyline of, okay, there was this idea of the game, I mean, you're going back in history a little bit, but just kind of take us through the progression of the game in history, and then let's do a breakdown on like how exactly do you play, what are the fundamentals, core game loop, and then how the token works and all that. Like, just give us a true breakdown of everything, because we have created some content before, so some of our listeners may have a good understanding, but I do want to make sure that for those who this is their first exposure to the project, they get a little bit of background as well.
Sure, I'll cover some of that. So it began originally with the devs trying to build a game that they actually wanted to play. They're probably in their 30s now. I don't know the exact age, but they grew up around the same time as me, playing online games, mini clips, addicting games, that sort of thing. And they wanted to build a 90s style browser game, which Champz is based heavily on something called Legend of the Green Dragon. I never played that, but that was one of the devs' favorite ones. And so they tried to sort of spin that, but put like a cute feel to it. So one of the two devs actually goes around and forages for mushrooms in real life. Like, he lives in Austria next to a forest, so he goes out there picking, and they wanted to sort of tie that, essence of who he is into what the game they were building is. And so the lore behind Champz is you are in the land of Arboretia, where the Tree of Life has brought various mushrooms to life, and it also has given some sentience to other creatures around there. So you're a mushroom, but you're fighting against things like squirrels and beetles, and there's even a couple like demons as the higher level enemies go, who are trying to sort of conquer the Tree of Life and take that power from it. But the core gameplay loop then outside of that is every mushroom character you have will have 10 action points per day. You can do fighting, which is the turn-based combat that costs 1 action point to do. And then you could also do exploring, which is the text-based RPG version. So, you might be walking and you see a cave. If you go inside, maybe there's, some treasure inside, or you could stumble into a bear and have to fight that. So there's a bunch of branching paths there. I never actually counted exactly how many there are, but I would estimate probably close to 100 different stories that you could find doing adventures or explorations. And then recently, we've added in a PvP mode with wagering where you can put up either spores, which are in-game currency, something like, your gold or your credits from a different game, or you could wager truffles, which is like the crypto tie-in to Champz. Whenever you complete quests, you earn truffles, and they convert directly to Ethereum. So it lets you do a lot of in-game like monetary spending gas-free in crypto. So you keep your truffles, and they only turn into ETH when you tell them to. Before you turn them to ETH, gas-free gameplay. Day-to-day, you don't pay any gas. The only 2 times you pay gas are to claim your winnings, or if you want to buy or sell your mushroom. We have them soft locked, so you have to do a transaction to lock and unlock mushrooms. Going back to what Enoch was saying, how Champz sort of fits into anyone's day. We don't have any way to recharge your 10 AP every day. You have to just wait for the 24-hour reset to come along. So that is kind of why I started getting so hard into it. I love to do optimization stuff. I'm a developer in real life, so I was trying to maximize, if I have this many mushrooms, how do I pull the most out of this game that I can? And I think I did pretty good at that. Like, I'm making 6 figures, but Champz is actually paying me more per minute than my real job is. The only downside is I get kicked out after, 30 minutes of time. So I can't play all day and spend my life making money here. The PvP you can do all the time, but in that case, you're taking money from other people. So if you beat them too badly, they're going to stop fighting you. You got to kind of space out your duels, make sure, you throw a loss in every once in a while, keep them coming back. But yeah, I think that's most of the in-game mechanics. The tokenomics, I could go over a little bit for you. So our token is fully circulating. The devs hold, I don't know, maybe like 5% of it. So they really don't have that much, and they can't dump on the players. We have 7% burned, and the money that is paid out from Champz is all generated from in-game syncs. So stuff like spending your truffles to reroll your mushroom traits. So you got attack and defense stats, and you can reroll those for truffles in game. But there's also a 5% buy, sell, and transfer tax on the Champz token. And so that is converted to ETH. And of that 5% tax, 40% of it goes directly back to the player, 20% through the monthly rev share to anybody holding over 50,000 Champz, and then 20% is earned in game by people playing the game. So if you want to earn with Champz, you don't have to play, but you do make a lot more by actually playing the game than by just holding the token. And so our in-game syncs have generated about 6 ETH, although the tax has generated probably closer to 150 ETH for players. So we're definitely much more reliant on the token action, and holding more tokens will make it so that your daily quests end up paying you more truffles, which is more ETH every day. So I've kind of maxed out my truffle multiplier, which is how I'm getting, $15 in 5 minutes type of deal.
The tokenomics is really kind of exciting, and I'm a huge fan of Murray Rothbard. So it's exciting to have other, non-Keynesian and Austrian economists to chat with. And I will say, like, my favorite quote of all time from Murray Rothbard, and I looked it up to make sure I got it exact, but it says, "Every man must have freedom, must have the scope to form, test, and act upon his own choices for any sort of development of his own personality to take place. He must, in short, be free in order that he may be fully human." And then the other famous quote is, deficits are inflationary and always pernicious, and curing them by raising taxes is equivalent to shooting them, right? Shooting the patient. So, I'm a big fan of that. And it's really cool that you guys are doing that. So what was one of the ideas behind the limit in time? I'm assuming that has a lot to do with the economy of it. And, how have you seen that, sort of build, almost like FOMO to, wait, I didn't get that last thing. Let me come back, the next day. I was wondering if you want to talk a little bit more about the economy of that. I find that extremely interesting.
Well, it's not really like a gimmick in my mind. It's kind of what everybody wishes they could do. I mean, people are spending, 8 to 10 hours a day grinding Axie in order to pay the bills. If you offered any of those people the ability to do that in a half hour and make the same amount of money, why are you forcing them to sit there and suffer for 8 hours or 10 hours when like it doesn't really give you any personal benefit? Champz isn't meant to take your life. It's meant to supplement it, to bring you, a little patch of enjoyment throughout your day, as opposed to, you get off work and you're like, geez, now I gotta go play a game for 3 hours tonight. We really just want to sort of be a benefit and something that people look forward to in their daily schedule, as opposed to being something that people dread coming up.
Yeah, I like it. It's like a nod to Ready Player One too, where they turned it off for a certain amount of time. I think that's cool. Enoch, what did you have on that?
Well, the developers are in their 30s. They both had their first kids, and they created this game with their brothers and friends. So it's truly a passion project, and that's why they have the ethos of Austrian School of Economics. And we don't want to. We call it life ruin, where people, kind of, gaming is so powerful, right? It's the most powerful thing. It brings people together. It has all these positives, but there is a dark side. And we've all seen World of Warcraft and EverQuest, and we've seen marriages challenged and whatnot. But they were able to really create something that goes to the mid market, which is your hyper casual gamer, the gamer that has 6 to 8 hours a week, that spends 400 to 600 a year on the games, that really has, I have a friend, he's an extreme gamer like Morig. He's in all the big games, but he's like, I play Champz more than any game. I'm like, why? And he's like, well, I can play when I'm picking up my daughter from school. I can play when I'm winding down at night. I can play it at traffic lights if I'm in a traffic jam or something. And it allows people to really fit the game in anywhere. And ultimately, we are going to have ways for people to get action point regeneration through advertising. They'll be able to watch some videos and get some action points. They'll be able to buy battle passes. But again, it's going to be a limit. We don't want this thing to creep. And then the other initiative we're working with, I won't mention the names, but there's some other bigger games out there. We want to be sister games with other people. We want you to be able to play our game and other games, so that you can, let's say, play an MMORPG for 2 hours and then hop in and play Champz in and out while you're waiting on maybe a queue or a party find, right? Or maybe you're playing League of Legends or something, you're waiting on a. So we want to really couple with other games, and that's allowing us to cross-pollinate a lot faster than most. I just had a meeting this week with a very large game, and that's what we want to foster. Because if you've made it this far in Web3 gaming, if you're still alive, that's really something right now. I mean, a lot of games are on the downside of it, and maybe they'll make it, but the ability for us to be able to partner with other games and enhance the core gaming experience by sistering with other games, and then also not poaching. We're not poaching players. And I had a guy really like, wow, maybe we need to look at some mechanics that do that honestly go out and say, hey, let's foster this relationship together, because I think games are in a cutthroat mode. Tencent owns 90% of the gaming world. So again, it goes back to our core values of let's lead by example. Maybe we're not going to be as rich and as big as some people, but at least we'll hold true to these virtues that we find dear.
That's so fascinating because it's almost helping to teach a lesson or to instill some sort of morality through the game. Like the game just happens to be the vehicle with which you guys are kind of coming out and teaching this lesson to the world, so to speak, because totally everything that you're saying is absolutely correct. And like games are incredible. There's a lot of benefits and positives to playing games, but they can be like hyper addictive. And as a person who has put in thousands of hours to World of Warcraft and Diablo and League of Legends, like that shit is so real. Like your
Right.
whole life can be oriented around that shit. Like I would literally make plans in my life in
Overrated.
order to have more time to play the games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that doesn't sound like the behavior of a healthy person. I'm saying that about myself only. I can't talk about it. You know what I mean? So like if you guys are thinking about that, it actually says to me you're probably treating your players right. And that means that those players are more likely to come back and want to continue to play over time. And it also is a brilliant idea to have that cross pollination of gamers with other games, because they're not going to capture the whole market. You guys are not going to capture the whole market. Nobody's going to capture the entire gaming market. It doesn't exist. But to work together to like cross pollinate and say, hey, our players only going to play for a certain amount of time. Your players are only going to play for a certain amount of time. Let's have them both work, let's work together and let's have our players playing the best games and let's link arms in that kind of way. How exactly are you guys having those conversations, and what's the like what does that actually look like? Because I think a lot of games would probably benefit from doing something like that, but maybe help lay out the blueprint for that if you would.
But it goes mainly to the developers and the community. I mean, Champz has averaged about 400 DAU with unique IPs. I know DAU is not a sketchy metric. These days, a lower, more stable DAU is very honest to me. People that are having like high DAUs and all, I won't speak to that. But how I have these conversations is through our gamers, through our community. I say, who have you reached out to? Like this meeting I had this week with a top tier game that's launching in September that's got big money behind it. When I met with their team, they were so refreshed about what I was saying. And I was saying, well, and look at this way, look at the demographics of gaming. I mean, it's becoming female, it's becoming mid-30s. So gaming is evolving into something we've never really seen before. And some of our most potent community members are moms, because the kids can sit in their laps. It's calm. A lot of games are like, and, with technology, the effect it's having on children, to have something that is slower, like Morig said, it forces you to use your imagination, the Oregon Trail kind of deal. That really adds benefit to the family. And then they can teach. They can say, what option do you think we should do? Do you think we should be nice? Should we be mean? Should we be scared? Because the explorers have those options. So it's a way to create behavioral pattern recognition. You could do reading and math and all that stuff too. But I say I don't play a game unless my children can play it or be a part of it. So if the devs have that, minutia in their creativity, then that's how we're having those conversations. But we've got two sister games that we're talking to right now, and both of those were brought into by our community. Champz has such an amazing community. I know we're smaller, 400 DAU is not, but it is such a strong DAU of these people that, I mean, we would do the amount of charity, and we've had people get hacked and got their money back. We just donate money to them. We've had, people have medical issues that have had, prayer groups. And so it's just, the game is the vehicle to drive the real value of gaming is human capital. Everyone's worried about the product or Lambos or token. This is coordination of humans and human capital. And no matter your political, you're religious. When you're playing a game together, that stuff doesn't come up as much unless you're upset maybe, or you die to the other person maybe, I guess. But we're finding it allowing us to really align core incentives. And we've started scholarship programs where, my scholarships are only making, these people are only making $2 a day for about 20 minutes work. But if you've read The Richest Man in Babylon, it's a book that talks, one of the keys of is putting the shekel in the pouch every day, 1 shekel, right? It's the psychology. And that's really, to answer your question in a roundabout way, we're looking for developers that understand Austrian economics. Like Jared was, he got it right away. Because if you understand that, you understand it. There's nothing else to say. Richest Man in Babylon, 4-Hour Work Week, all these books that help people really change their psychology. So any game that's putting out the right psychology is the people we're reaching out to. But mainly, we're not soliciting it. We're letting the communities do that. We're starting to raid Discords. That's another thing we're doing a lot of. Like we'll do a game night and we'll all go raid their Discord. And then, if you pull 1 or 2 new gamers a week from the bigger communities, it spreads. And gaming DAOs have been successful for us. So gaming DAOs and the players, to answer your question, that's who we're working with, the sister game.
That is the most grassroots thing I have ever heard, and I absolutely love it. One, because it's very on brand with, the nature and the mushrooms and, the nature thing. But also, like, that's absolutely brilliant because you're essentially growing organically and your community is helping to bring you other community members. That is incredible. What that, like, let's boil it down to the fundamentals of business. And look, I talk to projects all the time. The number one thing that I have been saying to people for a long time, and almost nobody like cares because they don't think that this is the real thing, but you guys are actually doing it, is the key is to get your product to a point where you do not have to ask for referrals. People are just sending them to you by default. That is the key, because the game is the product. Really, community is a really great product. So you guys have figured that part out. But like, you're getting the organic referrals. That is unbelievably powerful. I mean, I can't even tell you how excited that makes me to hear that you guys are doing that. What did you do in the beginning to build such a strong community? Because that's the hardest part for people.
Well, it started out with mostly like people that the devs actually knew, like 20 to 30 people in their hometown all play the game together. Like they're real life friends. And, they go out, they're picking mushrooms together, and they just sort of said, hey, let's make this game. Let's do something that we actually enjoy. I don't want to play a Call of Duty reskinned where I have to, pick up the same new guns a different year and, get a gold skin for them. I'd rather do something fun and interactive and then just be able to walk away from it. And then that sort of just spread from there. People in the start, they were definitely making a lot more money. And that has slowed a bit because we've opened it up really, where it used to be fully token gated, where you couldn't play the game unless you owned tokens. And about 3 months ago, probably a month and a half ago, actually, we created a free-to-play game mode where anybody can just sign up and you get 6 mushrooms for free. These mushrooms aren't the NFTs. They're locked to your wallet. But you can play them the same as the other mushrooms. They each have 10 action points a day. And just making it more easily accessible helps bring people in. When you have gates where you tell people you can make $5 a day, but you're going to have to put $100 in to start, a lot of people won't do that. Just the fear that it's, I won't get my money back blocks them out. And so we're trying to show like it's not anything sinister, and it is truly, we're building the product first. And so we had all of our community members who wanted to sign up to try and do a 1-month challenge to earn without putting any money into the game. We let them all do a second wallet, one time only. It's usually one wallet per player. And we wanted to see, what is the actual potential of this game? And so 72 people, I think, signed up to do it. Or no, it was 68 people who signed up. But the average earning was 72 cents a day, although the two highest earners made $3.83 a day, and the second place was $2.40 a day from playing the game for free. So, that's over $100 in a month with no investment. Like, you just start telling people the potential of what's here, and it takes you 30 minutes to play. Like, that's absolutely insane. Nothing else is giving you these kind of returns right now. And then you're having fun while you're making that money.
And it pays in Ethereum. That's very key here. We're not paying you in our inflationary token because we're fully circulating. We're paying you in Ethereum. So we tell people this is your Ethereum savings plan. Just bank it away. It's free money, like richest man in Babylon. Forget about it. Set it over there. I don't want to get into where we think Ethereum price action's going, but theoretically, it's going to go up to sideways to up. I mean, over time, it should. And that's what we're doing here is we're actually paying you in Ethereum instead of our inflationary token, which is rare.
What's the sort of the mechanism for that? Like, how do you track that? How is it delivered? And, are y'all paying gas fees on that? Kind of go through that sort of mechanism.
Sure. So it all comes back to the truffles that you earn each day from questing. We also have a mechanism to try and fight inflation in game, where the spores currency, which is like your classic gold currency, every day you can burn your gold for a chance to be entered into a raffle to earn truffles for it. So we're fighting inflation in game and out of game. And as you earn the truffles, they just sit there, but they have a fixed conversion rate to Ethereum. So 10,000 truffles will always equal 0.001 Ethereum. And, on the back end, the devs, whenever we, send truffles out, they're calculating it as if we're sending ETH out. So we're tracking that on the back end. And so even though it just looks like, some currency to the players, it's actually all ETH that's being calculated. And we have our war chest fund, and we're tracking, how much can we actually pay out. And if we are starting to run low on money, we can start to cut the earnings a little bit. We haven't had to shut them off yet. So that's great. And we've been operating for 400 days now, so a little over a year, sustainably, where we keep paying out to players every single day. And then whenever the player wants, you can say, convert all of my truffles into Ethereum. So right now, I'm sitting at 400,000 truffles in game, which is 0.04 ETH. I usually don't claim unless I get up to 0.1 ETH just to try and save on gas fees. Even though it's super cheap right now with Gwei in the single digits, I still I'm pinching those pennies where I can, and so that's really what it is. And then you could also some people do bartering in game, where you can sell in-game items or truffles for ETH to other players. And I've made $900 in ETH just trading to other players. And the benefit of that for me is when they're sending me the ETH and I send them the item, they're paying all the gas fees. I'm just doing an in-game trade with them. So that's just money coming in directly to me without gas, which I love.
It's fascinating. So you're actually backed by gold, essentially, that's really cool. I love that. I love that feature.
Yes, sir.
Man, yeah, it's a beautiful idea, and I think it's amazing. So would you suggest for some of the new people who are looking at starting a game, or who are like founders coming in, or developers looking at this? What are some strategies that you guys have used and implemented to obviously crypto is extremely volatile to, make it through like the bear markets. Obviously the bull market is, it's super easy, throw some money out and it goes up. But in the bear market, it's a completely different story. There's lots of emotions and people are scared. What's some advice for some young founders who are coming out, to sort of fix the roller coaster and level it out and make sure that you're going to be there at the end of the bear market to, ride the next wave up?
I could jump in here at first, then I could toss it over to Enoch, see what he has to think. But a big way to survive is just to have a connection to your community. Like the two devs building most of this, they're in the Telegram and the Discord every day. They're talking, they're interacting, And right now we are still so small where they do get to know like individuals in the community. It's not just, you get told something through an announcement. They're speaking with you, not to you. And so that really, to me, made this project feel different. Like that's how I got brought in, is they were just talking with me. Like I was a nobody in the project and they brought me in, and they always try to do that in Champz, is building from within. Because if you find somebody who's passionate about the project, they will, put hours and hours into it to make it work because they believe in it. And that's kind of what happened to me. So I think if you are a new developer trying to build a successful project, make sure you are like in the trenches with your holders and you're not living off on your, island mansion somewhere, ignoring them all. All right, Enoch, take it over from here.
So I won't dox the devs, but both of them have 20 plus year careers in IT and consulting IT. And when I met them, they're both making well into six figures, which isn't as much as it used to be. But in normal world, it's good living. And this is the first project where the devs aren't full time. And I'm an investor, and that sends a red flag. You're like, wait, why aren't they full time? Well, they're building such a project here that's so sustainable, and they're doing it very slowly. They're not in a rush to make money. They don't need the money. The project goes away, they would obviously feel very bad for the players and they have investments obviously, but we're not here to just make money. We're here to build a sustainable Web3 play to earn game, which that's a mouthful. That I've been around since 17. I was in Gala's Discord when there was 50 people. I was in Axie's before Bankless was telling people about Axie, right? And if you look at all those communities in the beginning, they were such bilateral communication. And these guys have figured out that if they treat everyone like equals, and I'll give you an example. So me and Morig are on the marketing team. There's 4 of us. Now the head of the marketing does have a salary. It's respectable. But to keep our burn in check and to really allow us to all feel that we're on the same team, the marketing team, we agreed to take only performance-based pay, which means if revenue goes way up, then we're going to make a lot of money. If revenue's dead, we're not going to make much money, but we are not parasitic on the project. We're not just, pulling, so we have a vested, aligned incentives is the key, I would say, to the founders. Make sure you have the aligned incentives to where you don't have to have, it's a trustless transaction. Because if we're here just for the money, obviously, then we want to get the revenue up so we can make a bunch of money. But if we want the project to do well, that aligns the same way. So these guys really understood how to manage human capital. And from their, they have 20-year careers in managing. Honestly, one of their when I met them, I'm like, you guys are just too nice, though. And that's kind of rare in crypto. If you're too nice, the line is very, one side of the line, you're getting taken advantage of. The other side of the line, you're out of business. But to answer your question, I think aligning of incentives, transparency, and then the not being unilateral. So everything, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, is essentially what they do here.
Now a word from our sponsors.
Introducing Creo Engine, a next-level Web3 gaming ecosystem that connects gamers and developers in a Web3 gaming hub. Hop on their Creo Play platform to check out current and upcoming titles like Evermore Nights, Slime Haven, Creonia Metaverse, and Arcade Fest. The team has earned the endorsement of the chairman of Indonesia's People Consultative Assembly and earned a 10 out of 10 from Hackin on their cross-chain bridge audit. Check all this out and more on CreoEngine.com. Introducing Ridotto, gambling infrastructure that offers seamless on-chain experiences. I'm excited to announce that Ridotto is the first real GambleFi project to be listed on not just one, but two major centralized exchanges, Bitmart and MEXC. Hop on their fully decentralized platform for lotteries, casino games, and betting. No KYC, no deposits, and instant payouts. All fueled by their RDT token, enabling you to play, build your own casino games, and bankroll as the house. Check all this out and more at Ridotto.io.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Enoch, you mentioned how you caught Axie before it got big, and it would seem like you probably have similar thoughts about this project. What are some of your secrets about how to actually catch incredible projects early on? Because look, catching Axie early is like a badge of honor. I mean, well done. What are some of your secrets there? Because I think there are probably a lot of people looking for their version of Axie this go around.
So I was mining Ethereum in 2017. Actually, this is one of my old miners. That's why I put this in the shot. It's dirty. I'm in my packed warehouse full of stuff. But these are 1080s, and I think I have about 400 graphics cards. I haven't mined in about a year because of electric costs. But Axie's obviously had a lot going for it. I mean, it was essentially Pokemon RPG, but the community was amazing. I'll give you an example. I got in there and I acted very stupid and very annoying. And I saw how many people helped me. And then I created another profile and I came in and I acted all big and rich. And I said, who will help me for $20? And I saw the responses. And it goes back to what Morig said. When the community is invested without being paid, you have something, right? In Gala, I remember when Bitbender was hired. Bitbender has now left Gala. That's how long I've been in. But when I was getting into Gala, the community, you can go back and look at the chats. I was so annoying. There was like 10 of us in there, but the community was so involved in making sure everyone felt like, hey, I see you. I see you. I hear you. What's your thoughts? What's your thought? And then how they respond to you when you're disagreeing with them. That's the fastest way, I think, to test a project, is to get in there and agree with everything they say and see how they treat you. And then pop into another profile and come in there and just, like, my wife even, she used to do it for me. We lost $20,000 on this investment years and years ago. And we should have known better, because when she got in there and started asking the tough questions and fudding, they kicked her. They kicked her out. And we should have sold right then. But we didn't. We waited a couple of days and they rugged. But that's one of my lessons, is see how they treat each other. And then how do you identify the games that are going to do well? You got to get lucky. I mean, I've been doing this since 17, and my biggest ROIs are Gala and Axies, and I've been in everything else under the sun. I mean, I've been in every project. I was trading $1 million in Ripple a day back in 18. Just been through the whole cycles, 2 cycles now, right? But really just the community, man, because when, like Morig said, when you see the passionate people that aren't getting paid to be passionate, and think about that right now with, the downfall of the influencers and the KOLs. I mean, we've all, I don't know if you all been seeing what's happened the last 24 hours. We've had, with the Trump coin, it went to 150 million and back to zero. I mean, I know friends personally lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And, but I'm not going to mention names, but there were certain influencers out there, anyway. So to answer your question, really get your hands dirty with the community. See how they treat you when you love them. See how they treat you when you hate them, and you'll know.
Well, I would pair that very good advice with, because now let me put myself in the shoes of somebody who they haven't made it yet in crypto, and they're looking to make it, and they may not have a large stack to come in and, throw around. I would mix that exact advice that you were talking about with playing any sort of game where you can earn something. And ideally, if you can get in early enough to catch a play to airdrop, so that like triangulate based on that and start building your stack based off of airdrops. And you'll probably actually know which games are good and which tokens are going to work if you actually get in there. Because the dirty secret is most people are not playing the games that they are deploying capital into, and they're going to get wrecked. Like I, I just know that they're not. You can actually go ask people if they're playing the games, and most of them are not. So it's a little tidbit for those who actually want to get ahead. Play the games, take Enoch's advice there, look for places where you can earn, and then look for airdrops. Mix those three, and you've got a leg up. Oh, and play the games. Definitely play the games.
And Morig,
can I jump in there for a minute?
Yeah. Talk about the play to claim, or I don't know if that's what you're going to talk about.
Oh, I wasn't going to get to that. I was just going to get to like everything you're saying right there, Ben, is pretty much how I got my start here. Is I was doing the whitelist farming for NFTs, and 9 out of 10 of them are flops that go to zero, and the 1 out of 10 that works lets you bankroll your next big project to 10x that thing. But as far as what you were saying with when you play the games, that is another piece of great advice. We actually track that stat in Champz. And so, how I said we got 20% of our revenue goes to rev share and 20% goes to players. With the part that goes to players, we split it up by what percentage of Champz is actually being used to play the game. So we have like 930 million circulating Champz. Only about 400 million are actually being used to play the game every day. So half the tokens aren't playing. But that means if you are getting the rev share and playing the game, you're making 3 times as much as somebody who's just holding the token. So, putting that 20 minutes in a day really multiplies your earnings potential. And then Enoch wanted me to go into play to claim, which was a previous sort of initiative that we had in the Champz group. So there have been 3 phases to Champz. One is where it was token gated. There were no NFTs. You had to buy tokens to play. And then however many you bought would let you make that many mushroom characters in game. And then the second phase, which was about 3 months after it kicked in, right around last December, is when NFTs came out. And so your characters that you had from tokens, you got to mint them for free into an NFT. But then you needed NFTs to play, and we didn't mint out. We had about 3,000 out of our 9,000 NFT pool supply that were left over. And so a lot of devs would probably have started just like trying to sell the NFTs, because we have around an $80 floor price right now, which is pretty solid. And I think 99% of them are just being held. Like everybody who owns NFTs is playing the game. Nobody's really trying to sell them. But then we had the issue of now, instead of having to buy tokens to get into the game, you would have to buy an $80 NFT to get into the game. So we actually just started giving out NFTs for free, but in order to actually get the NFT, you had to play the game. So we give people, 2 weeks, and you had to reach level 4, which is very easy, and you had to log in for 7 days in that 2-week period, and then you would get your free NFT. And so we started doing that initiative, and of the people who signed up to do it, anybody who logged in for 7 days ended up being able to mint their NFT. Like the level 4 requirement was a non-issue. Everybody who tried to play was able to reach that skill cap that we put in. But then what really surprised us is for the people who ended up doing play to claims, 92% of them wound up holding on to the characters after they minted them to keep playing and keep earning in game. So I hate making the analogy here, but we're kind of like crack. You got to give people a little sample for free, and then they all get hooked to it, and nobody can quit. And our campaign and the stats that we track on that sort of thing really do prove that. I mean, that's how I got started. Is I made one 3 mushroom account, 9 months or a year ago, something like that. And then I ended up with 200 characters because I just wanted to keep playing more and more. And the only way for me to actually get that extra playtime was getting more characters.
And didn't
I
we
love
give
that. That's
didn't we
hilarious.
give away 40,000 in NFTs, Maury? Wasn't it $40,000 street value at that time?
I think so, based on like the floor price that they were sitting at. But obviously, if everybody had been selling them, the floor price probably would have dropped. But like I said, everybody who got one wanted to keep playing. 92%, which, like, think about that. You're giving people $80 basically, and they're all saying, you know what? I'd rather keep playing this game with that $80 than just cash out right now. Which, like, that really speaks to how good the product is, that we're building the product first and we're not out here hunting to make money.
And Ben, to your point, I have some people in Africa and Nigeria that they got lucky. One of them got lucky. I won't say his name, but he was over the moon. He got I think it was a rainbow capped mushroom with a gold body, which was like a 5% out, right? And
5% on each of them, so it's like half a
2.5%,
percent overall.
right.
Very, very rare.
Yeah, he sold it for $172, and he was.
I thought it was $350 they sold it for. Who sold the big 350 one?
Oh, that Mike guy.
That was Mike. Yeah,
that was Mike. There's this Mike guy. We don't know who he is, but anyway, we had several people, and then they're still hanging around. Actually, some of them get in trouble for multi-accounting. We have to crack the whip because they're trying, and it's a fine line, but we do have scholarships coming to where off chain. So let's say I want to give you 1 million tokens and I want to give you 10 NFTs. So to build on your advice, Ben, yes, definitely go for play to claim, but go for places that are doing scholarships. We all know that's what caused Axes to explode. And I quit scholarshiping when my players, though, were complaining about quality of life. They were playing 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day. And I was like, I really can't be a part of that, because you're going to neglect something if you're doing this, but yeah, so play to claim, play to airdrop, but also find the places with scholarships, because if the whales, you got to understand, there's only so many ways to make money. If the whales are actually, like, when I came to Champz, they're like, why would you give someone your token and your NFTs to use when you would make less money? And I'm like, well, if I'm actually trying to make money long term, I need adoption. So I'm going to do scholarships to create adoption. And further, if I show other whales how to behave, then they're going to change the way they act. And they're like, I think you're naive. So we have 22 whales that control about 40% of our supply. Not one whale sold during this last dip. I mean, everything. I mean, we had, how much money was lost last week? I mean, right? But not one of our whales sold. Yeah, not one of our whales sold, because we believe that we can make a sustainable Web3 play to earn game that can essentially show people how to behave and lead by example. And that's our mission. It's not really here to just make money or have you to quit your job and play a game all day. But to that point, now in Champz, you get paid based on how much volume the token has, and you get paid on how much revenue, right? So as we roll out the app, as we roll out advertisers, as we roll out partnerships and other things that we're doing to increase the revenue, you will make more money. So, for example, our volume is very low, maybe 5 to 10,000 a day in token, and you're making, let's say, X. But if volume goes, we did have a couple of months where we were up in 200, 300, 400,000 volumes, and everybody was making so much money. And that's when our price actually went to all-time high, because everyone's like, wow, the ROI on this is like, our ROI was 22 months. I know that's not sexy in crypto, but in a real world, that's actually dangerous. That's a cap rate that's too high. In real estate, you would run. I don't want that. That's too risky. I don't know what that is. But what I'm trying to say is we are built for performance. So as the volume scales, as the revenue scales, that's when you're going to want to, and you really have to own 50,000 token. And I think 50,000 token right now is what, $100 and something more. But if you take how much circulating supply we have of, let's say 930 million or 930 million, divide that by 50,000. I think there's only 23,000 people that can have the 50,000 token. Now, obviously we'll lower the gate down, but when you have 50,000 token, you can play more than 2 NFT. And that also qualifies you for the revenue share. So as Morig said, we're actually paying out 40% of our gross revenue to players for revenue share. That's, I mean, they went double on, we told them 20%, they went 40. They're like, no, we really want to show people that we are on the same, remember the aligning of incentives. We all go down together, or we all make it together. And that's what we're doing here. And having a non-inflationary token that the devs only hold 5% of, like I own more token than the devs do. And I'm only up 2x. I got in late. We 30x'd from list, but I got in at 2x, and I was actually down substantially for most of my early time with Champz, and I kept buying because I knew that if I lost it all, that was okay, because at least I put the money into a project that deserved it. I didn't throw it into, whatever. So yeah, it's truly remarkable to see people really putting together something. And we hope to actually, we have another game talking to us, and we actually want to become almost like a launch pad for other games, to where you can use our resources, you can use our frameworks. And we're moving to Arbitrum. So we are, going to be looking at, and we've applied for the ARB grant, and I can't disclose what's going on with it, but it's going well. And we really look forward to driving the ability for people to play to earn, and then also get in on the L2 action, and then the L3. We're all seeing what's happening with L3s, right? Questing. So I think we've made it. That's what's exciting, is we're still here. So we're lucky to be here.
Yeah, and it speaks volumes that, you've got players that show up and then they become part of the project, and the message is so good, and it's perfect, where it's really, I love the idea of we're all going to make it, but this is truly one of those projects where the way it's set up is designed for that. And it can exist where it is now, or it could grow. It just depends on what the market wants, which is, I think one of the most beautiful things out there. And what a lot of, people, I think, don't pinpoint. It's like, it's got to have something beyond just, an exciting game, because you'll have an exciting game, and then you've seen all of them. I mean, even the best games in the world, they're only played for a little while, and then there's a new best game in the world that comes out. So you have to have something deeper, and I think more important, to spread, or the game won't grow. And I think that's what you guys have done, and it's kind of remarkable.
So maybe, because I know we're a little bit over time here, but I don't want to stop a good conversation in its tracks. Maybe to kind of help us begin the end of our conversation and time today. Let's say somebody's like, okay, I'm hearing rev share, I'm hearing I could earn, I'm hearing there's an amazing community. We have two people that came not from the founding squad, who now are a part of the team and are coming and talking about this. People want to get in, they want to get involved. What are the first couple of steps that they need to take, like from their pumped up because of this podcast to they're starting to earn from the rev share, they're starting to be able to play the game and earn? Like, what do they actually need to do to get started?
Sure, I could jump in on that. Make a new wallet. I recommend this for any type of new project you're getting into. Start a new wallet, keep your things isolated. That way, if some other project ends up being a rug, you don't get your whole account drained. You just get that one account drained. So make a fresh wallet, go over to play.champs.world, sign in, and you could make your 6 free mushroom characters. I recommend doing one of each class, just because I think that gives you a much better overall feel for the game. And if you start buying NFTs, then you're going to have sampled each one and you know what their different abilities are and what sort of fits your play style. But then, I have a YouTube channel. Like I said, I make content. It's called Morig's Mushrooms. I got about a 20-minute intro series that's 7 episodes, which walks you through everything you need to do when you first start. You know, you sign in, you make your account name, where to go to find your quests, how to fight, how to get gear, how to upgrade gear, what you should be doing every day, like your spore burn and all of that stuff. So that's probably the easiest thing to do, is just watch that 20-minute series. It's 7 videos, and I got a playlist set aside for it, and that's Morig's Mushrooms, one word, on YouTube. But if you don't like watching videos, you'd rather just feel it out, go into the Telegram or the Discord and pretty much just ask a question. There will be 5 people over there to jump and give you an answer for it, because people are on all the time playing this game and they love it. Like Enoch mentioned, the sort of important threshold you want to hit is getting to 50,000 Champz tokens, because that lets you start getting the bonus money every month from the rev share, and it lets you get more of the NFTs. So if you have less than 50,000 tokens, they limit you to 2 NFTs. If you have over 50,000, no limit. So either above or below. 50,000 tokens. And then if you want to play more, you have to buy more NFTs. I think that's pretty much how I would get started. Just try it out.
And you just hold the tokens, or do you stake them? Or
no staking on the tokens. And when you sign in, we have a Etherscan check that goes and sees how many you're holding in your wallet to know if we got to lock you in game, or like what your multiplier is on your quest rewards. The one thing I mentioned, we have the 5% buy sell transfer. A lot of people forget about the transfer. So if you're going to buy Champz with the fresh wallet, make sure you send your ETH to your own fresh wallet and you do the buy on the wallet that you want to play from, so that you don't lose an extra 5% transferring it from like a buying wallet.
Yeah, the transfer tax, our liquidity just unlocked. We are going to relaunch probably in the next 3 months. The transfer tax will go away, but right now he's correct. Make sure you are in the end spot for where you want your token to end up. We had to do the transfer tax in the beginning because, as he mentioned, you had to actually buy tokens and then you could spawn as many characters. So we didn't want people moving the tokens from wallet to wallet. The other advice I would give is join a guild. We give away all kinds of gear. You can literally just log on and say, hey, I need this item, and somebody will probably give it to you. That's really, really, really beneficial.
Rock on. Well, folks, you have heard it here first. Talking all about Champz and all the fun things that these lovely gentlemen have been talking about. So yeah, I mean, look, I'm a huge proponent of Web3 gaming. Obviously, we spend our time as cartoon characters having fun talking about this stuff. I think what you guys are building is something really important for the space. And I think that what you guys are doing on the community side, very important for the space. And so I just want to say thank you for everything that you're doing. And best of luck as you guys move forward, and would love to have you guys back on the pod at some point to keep track of all the DAUs that you guys have and all the all the more ETH that you guys are paying out to the players. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more folks on our side that are going to be part of that community too. So I'm sure they'll be looking forward to the next episode. So just want to thank you guys very much for the time and applaud you for all the efforts so far in building what you have.
Thank you. And
thanks for having us on.
We are going to have a new UI launch in the next month or so, and we're going to have referral codes. So people will be able to, because Gala had a huge growth using referral codes, and you got NFTs. So we will have the ability for you to get NFTs, token, battle passes. So essentially, we're going to, instead of taking the budget and giving it to the KOLs, we're going to take that budget and we're going to give it to our community. So a quick way to make a quick buck, we'll be able to play the game and refer your friends. And obviously, we'll be monitoring for abuse, and we'll have metrics, but I just want to make sure your listeners know that that'll be some money they can take on the table pretty quickly there in about a month or so.
Gotta love it. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you guys. Jared, as always, legendary co-host, one of my dear friends. Thank you, sir.
Morig and Enoch, thank you guys. It was a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And might I say, you have a very crisp mic there, Ben. Sounds like you're just whispering gently into my ears.
That's the point. I am absolutely trying to do that. I want people to have a very good audio experience on this pod. So thank you very much. Cool, guys. Hey, appreciate it. Thanks for coming out. And to everybody watching and listening, we will see you on the next episode of Interlinked. Take care.
Crypto Unicorns is available to play now on their website, and their Play to Airdrop campaign just kicked off on July 1st. Players can now earn daily Xi rewards just by playing the game. Try it out for yourself and breed, battle, and collect your favorite unicorns, all while earning your slice of the Xi pie. This is not an opportunity to miss, so hop onto their website, www.cryptounicorns.fun, and try it out for yourself.